I want to welcome you to this course that I put together to give you a complete and deep overview of the Corporate Transparency Act and how much of a disaster it's going to be for those of us who are going to be affected by it, which is millions and millions of people. This course is going to go over why and how this is targeting small business and private investors. We're going to be talking about how, this is not the first time the federal government has done a complete overreach of, of some law they put together and how that happened. And, just give you some examples of why I think this is going to be a complete disaster. Usually when they do new legislation, it turns out to be horrible. The government justifies it by some, I would say probably a decent idea, but they don't realize that usually it opens a Pandora's box of consequences that nobody thought through. I mean, just to give you a few examples, right? I mean, look at prohibition. Yeah, alcohol's bad. My dad was an alcoholic, and ideally we wouldn't have alcohol in this country. And so they got together, they got the votes, and they ratified the Constitution, and they banned liquor. Well, we can tell you, you remember what happened there. How you could just watch any kind of mob movie, and it took these street thugs and made them into national threats and multimillionaires and helped corrupt the government because they tried to legislate morality with booze, right? And taking away booze. I mean, and let's look at the Patriot Act. Let's look at what happened after, 9/11. Well, what do we get after that? We got wireless wiretapping, where there's no court order needed to wiretap our phones. What about the idea that American citizens can be declared enemy combatants and they can be imprisoned indefinitely without an attorney, right? That came about from national security. Did you know that the federal government already has the right to seize your cash? If you have a perfectly legitimate reason to carry cash somewhere, let's say you're flying somewhere or you're stopped and you have a large amount of cash in your car, then they have the right to do asset forfeiture. Those are just examples of what has happened in the past. And, there's a saying with historians is that past is prologue. So I want to, as I introduce this course, I want you to understand why I'm doing this. And I want to show you why I believe this is exactly in line with those previous examples of federal overreach. I'm going to show you exactly what the Corporate Transparency Act is. I'll go through and explain to you exactly how it works, who has to register, and I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about the dangers of it, because I have seen with other, just go on YouTube, just Google, and if you talk about the Corporate Transparency Act, there's a lot of attorneys out there that are explaining what it is, and they go through and give you a decent overview of what it is, but it doesn't give you the underlying dangers. And finally, I'm going to show you and teach you in this course how you can legally exempt yourself from having to comply. There's only two ways to do it right now if you want to run a business in this country. And the one way is not that great, okay? But it's better than having to register with the Corporate Transparency Act. But the one that I'm going to show you is the best way, and it can legally exempt you. And I'll get into that later. But we need to walk through the sludge of this law first, because you need to know exactly what it is and why it's so dangerous. Because I get a lot of people that say, what's the big deal, Don? It's no big deal, right? I mean, okay, so we have more forms to fill out and so forth. They don't understand why it's so dangerous. And that's one of the motivations I've had to put this course together. So, put your boots on, because you're going to need them to step through all this crap that that's coming to us, for us the next starting next year on January 21st. It should be January 1st, 2024. And let's get it started. Module number 1 starts right now.